All right, so for your sketchbook extravaganza activity with your shapes that you made randomly the other day and let dry, you made, like 12 triangles, 15 squares, some parallelograms. And the idea behind this is that you just paint shapes ahead of time, and then later you go back and you turn them in to something. In this case, we're turning it into just sort of an imaginary little village. I did mine all in shades of blue. That doesn't mean you have to do them in any certain color. You may have used, 15 different colors on yours, in which case you can use 15 different colors to turn it into structures. Now, this is just something, again, it's not a finished, beautiful piece of artwork. It is just something to practice different materials. I used different markers, colored pencils. I used some more paint. So you can try out different materials to see how they perform next to each other. It's a good way to do that. It's also a good way to practice overlapping and balance. You don't want, like I didn't want to use all marker and then just a little bit of colored pencil here and not balance it out with some colored pencil down here. So even though there's this giant shadow from my camera, you can tell that the shades of blue that I've got kind of balance out, and I'm going back through and kind of straightening up some of this watercolor. The best thing to do on this one is to set your timer. Like say, okay, I've got to turn this into some sort of overlapping village in 10 minutes. How much can I get done in 10 minutes? It's almost like training yourself to recognize where things need to be balanced out as quickly as you can. So don't overthink it. Don't even think about it at all. It's another exercise in just freeing your mind and just getting something down on paper without too much pressure and without too much thought to it has to be perfect and it has to be like this. You're just trying to get it down on paper. See if you can, in 10 minutes, fill up the entire page. Make a structure out of each of those using the triangles. You can turn it into a city. Some of your buildings are going to be wonky. They're going to be completely sideways, like this little building right here. You can turn them into different things. Some of mine look like almost like barn type structures. Other ones look like a business of some sort because they've got double doors. So just as quickly as you can, get it down on paper. I put a wet on wet blue wash along the back of mine just to kind of make it look finished. So see if you can time yourself out to where you can get all of the buildings outlined. And what I did at the very beginning is I outlined the shapes that I started with in black. And I just like to do that if I'm doing this exercise, just so I kind of know where I started and where I ended up. And then, the next time you do it, set the timer for 9 minutes instead of 10 and see if you can get it down. Because the quicker you do it, the less you're going to overthink it. And I think sometimes your results are even better when you're not overthinking it, and you'll be surprised how much you can get done in that short amount of time. So get your shapes out, outline them if you want to, then set your timer and see how much you can fill in the amount of time that you give yourself.